Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts about the 40K universe. I am your host Gershwan and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we continue with more viewer requests as we get into 40 facts about Space Hulks. A Space Hulk is the term given by the Imperium to the wreckage of starships or the mangled twists of various artificial debris found drifting through the vacuum of the Milky Way galaxy without apparent direction. Many times, they are so huge that they have their own atmospheres and gravity, like yo mama. The Imperial Navy and authorities as a whole have standard orders to survey such objects and to report their location. The Hulks often consist of starships and items of technology millennia old, and their recoverable technology can be an immense value to the Imperium. Space Hulks have many times been used as means of transport by certain unsophisticated factions. The Orcs, the Gene Stealers, and even Chaos Space Marine renegades use them occasionally to invade other worlds. As the warp jump of a Space Hulk is essentially made in a random direction, this gives them the advantage of surprise over Imperial or Eldar forces. These monstrosities often drop in and out of the warp, threatening to carry Chaos Space Marines, Orcs, or Gene Stealers that have entered stasis, who can launch attacks upon the unsuspecting planets of the Imperium. Thus, elite Imperial forces are sent aboard to clear out infestations. Depending on the strategic situation, availability of troops, proximity to vital Imperial star systems, Space Marines are usually sent to purge the Hulk of any alien or chaotic infestation. Many Space Hulks are known to be breeding grounds for the Tyranid species known to the Imperium as Gene Stealers, often being the product of a starship inflicted with a Gene Stealer infestation when the Gene Stealers took over and killed the crew. It is even suspected by the Adeptus Mechanicus that the Tyranid hive mind implants Gene Stealers to lay in stasis on Space Hulks to serve as unwitting living vanguard for a nearby Tyranid hive fleet, intended on finding new worlds to consume. Congruent with the expansive biomass consumption of the Tyranids, these Gene Stealer infested Space Hulks are doubly dangerous for the cargo they may contain, and the hive fleets they could physically call upon. Since Space Hulks are often exiting and re-entering the warp seemingly at random, searching or traveling within them is dangerous to the extreme. As a result of this danger, the mission of boarding and exploring Space Hulks is normally entrusted to Terminators, a Space Marine chapter's most experienced elite warriors who are heavily armored and armed. In some cases, this is an impossible task due to the powerful enemy resistance. In such cases, the bombardment and total destruction of the Hulk is the only viable alternative. Space Hulks are huge and durable, and even Nova Cannon blasts are not powerful enough to take one down. For those unlucky souls who are trapped or decide to call a Space Hulk home, they must survive an onslaught of danger. As stated before, the inhabitants of a Space Hulk must defend themselves from pirates, Xenos, mutants, and the instability of the technology found on the Space Hulk. A person living on a Space Hulk can be sucked into the vacuum of space simply because of the shifting of a ramshackle structure inside the Hulk. If the Hulk enters the warp, the inhabitants would be unprotected to the horrors of the warp. The person's unprotected mind would erupt as warp entities pour forth. Those that can thrive on a Space Hulk do so because the Hulk has a stable structure. These individuals are often outcasts and pirates, using the technology found in the Space Hulk to fuel their economy. Marauder gangs will often pay these inhabitants a visit, if the Imperial Navy doesn't. Any pirate found inside of a Space Hulk will be executed to ensure the safety of the explorers. Once a Space Hulk has been secured or captured by the Imperium, the dangers do not disappear. The Hulks are so massive, there is still a chance that some unwanted passengers may be lurking somewhere in the ship's many corridors. Mining servitors will often be sent out as a first exploration wave, only to be slaughtered by the undetected threat. Notable Space Hulks include the Spawn of Damnation. The Spawn of Damnation is a conglomeration of wrecked starships approximately 5 kilometers in diameter, and was first sighted in the 447th year of the 36th millennium in the Spineward Drift. In the 781st year of the 41st millennium, it briefly appeared in the Vindril system, long enough for the Gene Stealers aboard to seed their taint into the system's human population. In the 928th year of the 41st millennium, the Genestealer cult led an uprising against the Imperial Governor, which was quelled by a detachment from the Reclaimers chapter and their Imperial Guard liaison officer, Commissar Kane. With additional Imperial Guard regiments arriving to assist the cleansing and seeking a more interesting fight, the Reclaimers chose to track the Spawn of Damnation down and secure it for the Imperium, finally locating it in the Serpentindian system. Over the local government's objections, the Reclaimers and Kane boarded the Hulk to recover Archaeotech, but came under attack by Genestealer attack, with many Terminators slain, and Kane and his aide Ferric Jurgen becoming separated from the group. After traveling through the Hulk for several hours, Kane discovered there were also orcs aboard, and provoked them into attacking the Genestealers, which ultimately allowed the Reclaimers to capture the Hulk. The chapter and the Adeptus Mechanicus spent the next 30 years mining it for technology, and finally landed a volunteer expeditionary force aboard before it returned to the warp in the 958th year of the 41st millennium. The Reclaimers tried to resume tracking it, but unfortunately lost its trail. Another notable Space Hulk is the Sin of Damnation. The Sin of Damnation was the Space Hulk assaulted by the Blood Angel Space Marine chapter in the 996th year of the 40th millennium. This campaign ultimately proved disastrous, with the Blood Angels facing an unending tide of Genestealers and finally retreating with only 50 brothers surviving. The Blood Angels made a second attempt to claim the Hulk when the Hulk was rediscovered in the 589th year of the 41st millennium, under the command of First Captain Michaelis Raphael. 80 Blood Angels Terminators slaughtered over 40,000 Genestealers and captured the Hulk. The Red Polyphemus was a Space Hulk that appeared during the Manichaean War, one of the earliest campaigns of the Horus Heresy, and it diverted much of the Port Maul's strength before the attack of the traitors. It is commonly believed that this particular Space Hulk was diverted in the warp by the will of the Chaos Gods to aid their mortal followers. Known by many names, the Mortis Thal, Death from Beyond the Horizon, was the largest Space Hulk known to exist within the Jericho Reach, and was very possibly the most dangerous. Though each Hulk is unique, Mortis Thal stands out not only for the enormous size, but also for its long history in the Reach, dating back to before the arrival of the Imperial expeditionary fleets of the Great Crusade. Most Hulks either fall apart given time, or disappear back into the warp, never to be seen again. The Mortis Thal seems older than much of the Space Hulks encountered before. Its curious longevity and increasing mass are possibly tied to other mysterious artifacts of the Reach. In the 887th year of the 39th millennium, Death of Integrity was seen near the world of Sol Secundus. A call for immediate Adeptus Astartes assistance was issued, with the first company of both the Blood Drinkers and the Nova Marines chapter responding. Exhibiting a tremendous amount of cooperation, the two chapters deployed nearly 200 Terminators aboard the Space Hulk. Over the span of 2 months, the task force thoroughly purged the Space Hulk of a rampant Genestealer infestation. Though the battle was costly in terms of material damage and loss of life, the ultimate prize was stunning. Deep within the Space Hulk's ruin was a remarkably well-preserved standard template construct, which contained data on the hosts of lost technology. The Adeptus Mechanicus gladly accepted the priceless artifact, and repaid both the chapter with a newly commissioned strike cruiser. The Labyrinth is a Space Hulk used as a fortress monastery and ritual center by the Chaos Space Marine Warband, known as the Sons of Malice. The Iron Worm was an Orc crewed Space Hulk that ravaged the Ullius sector in the middle of the 32nd millennium. Historical records show the Iron Worm is responsible for the destruction of Battle Group Azel, and sacking of the Forge World of Temaxi, and the ravaging of Fortress World Armstrong and Velgara. The Iron Worm constituted a severe menace for the entire Ulcerif cluster before its course was altered by the eruption of a powerful warp storm, which transported the Space Hulk deep into the Dark Martius region of the Segmentum Tempestus, amongst the worlds that used to form the Orpheus sector, never to be seen again. It is generally believed that the Iron Worm was obliterated when they somehow disturbed the slumber of the powerful Necrons of the Monarch dynasty. The Cauldron Born is a former Space Hulk and the current fortress ship and home of the renegade Blood Gorgon chapter of the Chaos Space Marines. The Cauldron Born is an artifact of Blood Gorgon's biological experimentation, including the use of pseudosurgery and demonology. It is said that the whole of the floating fortress has been grafted with the flesh of demon princes, and the organic matter has been cultivated to merge with the ship's engine, spawning a demonic spirit that inhabits the vessel's circuitry. The Broken Back was a Space Hulk that housed the Renegade Soul Drinkers chapter for a time. The Alvis Alpha Alpha Sectus was the Space Hulk that first bore the Orcs to the hive world of Armageddon during the Second War of Armageddon. The Judgment of Carrion was a Space Hulk that appeared in the Uriel subsector in the late 41st millennium. The Hulk was boarded by the Astartes of the Blood Ravens chapter during the Second Uriel Crusade in search of the traitors within their own ranks. The Devourer of Stars was used by the Demon Prince Angron and his World Eaters Traitor Legion during the First War of Armageddon to invade the world. And those were 40 facts about Space Hulks. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please comment down below with any suggestions that you guys might have for more awesome lore topics. Thank you guys so much for subscribing and liking, commenting, and sharing. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. This was Gersh1 with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.